to take this time to mention that there's some opening on some boards.
Good time.
Okay. All right, well, welcome everybody out. We've just wrapped up a work meeting as we work through some of these issues with our home occupation code. So now we'll move into the regular agenda, and item number 2, public comment concerning any issue that's not on the agenda. Do we have anybody that needs to talk to the planning commission or the councils here tonight? So anybody have anything that doesn't appear on the agenda that they need to address the council or planning commission on? No? Okay. We will then move right into the public hearing, and this is a combined with the council and planning commission, so we have both here. So we have a public hearing on a boundary adjustment with Charleston and Danieltown. So I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
And we'll be open to public hearing.
I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Great, this now opens the public hearing. What this is the boundary adjustment between Charleston. As a lot of you folks will notice, there's some excavation going on down along the border between the two towns. And we've reached an agreement with Charleston to bring our borders together. So there's been a little bit going back and forth. We were petitioned to annex some of that property, and then that was withdrawn. And then Charleston annexed it. We was planning on, we had protests we put together for it. And then we reached an agreement with Charleston Town. So has anybody got any comment? Please come up here, state your name so we can get you on the record concerning this issue. That's what everybody's here for, right?
What are they gonna build there, Mr.?
I haven't heard what they're gonna build there. I called when I got a blue stake and called down to the clerk, and she says nothing's been approved there. So,
At the moment, they're working on relocating the road. Other than that, I don't know what they're up to.
anybody interested in the agreement we reached with them?
Yes.
You are? Well, let me read it to you. This letter is a response to a meeting held at Charleston Town Hall between Eric Bunker, Danieltown Planner, and Ramey Oakley, Charleston Town Recorder, on Thursday, December 22nd. It assures the town of Daniel that Charleston Town will, 1, within 60 days of the 3000 South Road alignment annexation into Charleston Town, record the applicable document adjusting the boundary line from the south side of 189 to the center line of said highway with Wasatch County. And number 2, an annexation agreement will be entered into between the town of Charleston and the petitioners of the 3000 South Road alignment annexation that includes following the corridor preservation agreement showing 3000 South realignment as a condition of this annexation. A copy of said annexation agreement will be delivered to Daniel upon its logging. This letter of assurance will be given to satisfy concerns that previously would have caused Daniel Township to file a letter of protest to this annexation with the Wasatch County Boundary Commission. And that's signed by Mayor Koalas of Charleston and Ramey Oakley, who is the... So we thought we'd just move right through and be fairly smooth. So then they tried to get the developer. This is a letter from Ramey again. We had made arrangements with Mike Peterson and his attorneys to change the boundary between the two towns on the Mylar for annexation. As we all probably suspected, that was not honored. This transaction will have to be accomplished another way. And so according to Utah Code 10.2.419, it can be done by following the items listed. It will start with both entities passing a resolution and then holding a public hearing, posting a public notice, and finally passing an ordinance and recording it. Charleston will plan to pass a resolution on March 2nd, and then we will notice it according to statute. Unfortunately, this will take a bit longer than the agreed upon 60 days. I apologize for that and hope for understanding from your board and staff. Charleston will pay for whatever costs are necessary for noticing, etc. I will also do whatever else is necessary to make this easy for your entity. And that was signed by Ramey. So our timeline on that was March 2nd, they passed a resolution at Charleston Town, and I believe we did not pass that because we had to wait for them to do that, is that correct?
We have passed a resolution as well.
Okay, so was ours March 2nd also?
No, it was.
Okay.
March 6th, I believe, at the town council meeting, March 6th.
Okay, so we have also passed the resolution.
Yes.
Then it had to be noticed in the paper for 3 weeks, which was the 16th, the 23rd, 3rd, and the 30th of March. So then we had to wait, and we couldn't hold the public hearing no less than 60 days after we adopted that resolution. So that's why we're having the public hearing now. And then we'll adopt that ordinance adjusting between the two municipalities, subject to, I guess if we pass that resolution, is that correct?
This evening,
This is tonight.
we can do the ordinance.
Ordinance tonight, sorry, we did the
Charleston
resolution.
passed their ordinance on May 4th.
So theirs is passed?
Yes.
Done, okay. Now does anybody got anything to say? Still no, huh? Alright. Let me find that, she gave it to me and I moved it.
I've got another copy here if you need it.
I assume that that's where we're headed with this. You better give me your copy.
I got an order right here, Eric.
You got one?
Yeah.
I have the resolution, I don't have the ordinance.
Is that the ordinance? I thought I just grabbed the.
Don't, this is ordinance.
Got it? Is there some-
Yes,
Between him and us two, we, from the council side, D3.
yeah. Okay, so, any last call? Okay, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion, any opposed? We should get that part. Okay, motion carries, closes the public hearing. Entertain a motion from the planning commission for recommendation to the council on ordinance 2017-03. It's 2017-03.
I move that we recommend to the council that they pass ordinance 2017-03.
Okay, I have a motion, is there a second?
I don't know that you've got the correct one there. Is that what Chip gave you? Is that Charleston's ordinance or ours?
Yep, Charleston.
Whoops.
That's my question, Ronnie gave, I said, I'm not sure I grabbed the right one, he said
Okay,
ordinance.
so what's the number? And I'll redo it.
It's DO 2017-05-17. So Daniel ordinance, DO, the date beginning with the year, 2017-05-17.
Okay.
Want to amend your motion?
I do want to amend my motion to say ordinance DO 2017-05-17.
Okay, I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a recommendation to council, they adopt that resolution. I guess I better get the right one, huh? Do you have a copy of that? Let me get this back to you.
I even have glasses on.
Okay, do I need to read this?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to run that through the council? Do we start?
As far as reading it or run it to the council for vote?
For a vote. You want me to read it first?
I don't, necessarily, I mean, if the, if.
Lynn says I have to read it, so at some point I have to read it.
I would prefer you read it before the vote.
Now she prefers, so I'm still gonna do it.
Yep.
Okay, so this is number DO 2017-05-17. The effective date is after publication. The purpose is to grant approval of adjustment of the common boundary between Charleston Town and Daniel Town. Whereas the Town of Daniel voted on March 6 to pass resolution DR 2017-03-06C, making its intentions known to adjust the common boundary between the Town of Charleston and the Town of Daniel in order to accommodate orderly regulation of future growth in the area. And whereas Utah Code 10-2-419 5A requires the governing municipal body of each municipality so desiring to adjust their common boundary to pass an ordinance approving the adjustments of the common boundary. Now therefore it is hereby ordained by the Daniel Town Council that the governing legislative body of the Town of Daniel as follows. The common boundary between the Town of Charleston and the Town of Daniel shall be adjusted in that the property identified as the area between the northeasterly boundary of the Town of Charleston that currently runs along the easterly edge of Highway 189 and that currently constitutes the division between the two towns and the center line of Highway 189 will be relinquished from the Town of Charleston's jurisdiction and will be transferred to the jurisdictional authority of the Town of Daniel. And the center line of the Highway 189 will then constitute as the new boundary between these two towns. Based upon the Town of Daniel reserving all of its full statutory and common law discretion, the Town of Daniel hereby approves the boundary adjustment pursuant to section 10-2-419 of the Utah Code. And that it'll be passed and adopted by the mayor and the town council of Daniel the 17th day of May 2017. All in favor?
Make a motion to,
Any opposed? It's 100%, all three of us.
Put your initials on there and we're good.
Okay. That was just a line. Wait till you see our next thing on the agenda. So what that will do is that'll clean up, what we was worried about was with that annexation, is that line came all the way over to the Daniel side. And so we wouldn't have any access to highway corridor. And so what we did was we negotiated with them to move it to the center of the highway. If we ever have to run a water line or any of our services up the highway, we would have to go to those, to Charleston, and get their permission to run one. So we thought it was in the best interest of the town to own that ground, that we'd be able to have that right and authority to run up the side. Yeah, we're not done till she gets up
I
back.
was gonna say, you might want to initial a different spot.
Did I mess up?
No, different spot.
Oh. Got it. Down further. Okay. Charles. Okay, item number 4. We have a zone change request for the McAllisters on Highway 40. How's the planning commission want to go about this? We have an application, we've had a public hearing. We are now moving forward.
To vote on it? Or discuss it?
Information, I think we're a little ways away from a vote yet, but
Okay.
I think we have some questions. Some of these folks might have some questions for the planning commission.
I'd like to hear what people here have to say.
You want to hear what they have to say? Okay. Is that a motion?
Move we open for public comment on this matter.
Okay, have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none? Call for the vote, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, okay. We're gonna all have some time here at the podium, please state your name so we can get it on the record. And come on up and tell them what you think.
You'll be sorry you said that. Okay, my name's Stephanie Wilson-Hume, and I have some concerns, some questions, and some comments about commercial codes on this property, and if he is going to have to bring his building up to those codes. But first of all, I need to set the record straight, because I understand that Mark McAllister has been taking a petition all over Daniels telling the people that they are kicking him and his trucks out of the shop lot, and he needs to have a petition signed to stay there. I've been told this by a few of our mutual friends. One of them asked me 3 times so he can stay there with his trucks just the way it is right now. And I told him 3 different times, yes. I don't know who Mark means by they. And I don't remember anyone in the last 2 meetings on the Planning Commission, on the Daniel Town Council, or any of the neighbors saying that they wanted to kick him out of the shop lot. So I believe his petition is signed under false pretenses.
Excuse me, you said the shop lot, where?
Well, that's what we call, 2850,
Is that
South
the- is
Highway
that the
Freight. That's
property
his
they're
pro-
talking
that's
about
the property.
being Commercial.
yeah, that, the shop lot is what we call
Okay,
that.
I
his
didn't know
property,
what
sorry.
you were talking about.
As far as I know, the neighbors don't have a problem with Mr. McAllister using it for personal use, keeping the noise and the dust under control. So in the Danieltown Commercial Zone, Chapter 810, Section 81013, Number 3, page 47, it states, under the emissions, no dust, noticeable odor, smoke, vibration, intermittent light, or noise shall be emitted which is discernible beyond the property boundary lines. In the Planning Commission meeting, Mark McAllister would not commit to his business hours, nor the number of trucks he would have on the shop lot at any given time, nor controlling the dust, which has become a health issue with some of the neighbors. If the property is rezoned commercial, it turns right back into the truck stop that Travis Nafziger was running. And if it's rezoned, we need someone who will reinforce all of the commercial zoning ordinances so the neighbors don't have to put up with the trucks coming and going all hours of the day and night, and the dust and the noise like it was before. And I was told before that we didn't have a noise ordinance, but according to this section 81013 number 3, we must have some kind of a noise ordinance. Do we not?
I'm sorry, what's the code number again? Is it under the commercial zone? Is that what
It's
you're?
under the commercial zone, so
Right.
that's why it doesn't apply right now, right?
Right,
Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Okay.
so you're quoting a quote out of a commercial zone.
It's right out of your commercial codes.
Right, so, and it's
Okay.
RA5 right now.
So, then I talked with Austin Tripp again at the UDOT, and he said no one from the town has contacted him over this proposed change, nor has he seen any plans of what the proposed business is gonna be. He said any change to the state access has to be okayed with him and UDOT. He also said even if the property goes commercial, Mark McAllister cannot cross the highway access with any commercial vehicle into that commercial property because that access is an agricultural access, not a commercial one. And if he doesn't contact UDOT to comply with the state codes, Austin Tripp can come up and close down the access, and Mark will not have any, he will not have any, be able to use it at all. He also told me that the RV park down the road paid dearly for the access changes they made from residential to commercial. He told me it's a very costly process. And he also said that most of the time the zoning change is made, then the property owner finds out the regulations and requirements to bring the property into the commercial standards and can't afford them, so the property either sits vacant or it's sold. And this is what our neighbors' concerns are about, because then we have to start out this process all over again, fighting a bar or a gas station in our backyards. Then there's the question of a septic tank for the commercial business. Page 147, section 8, 10, 13, number 5. It says sewer system. All uses located within a commercial zone shall be connected to a sewer system. When that system was put in, probably pre-1960s, I'm guessing, there wasn't much of a septic tank requirement back then, and I want to know if it has to be replaced. Because the county health department doesn't even have a record of that septic system. Phil Wright told me that he was told back then the people would dig a hole, put an old car frame in it, and shove a hose or a pipe through the windshield and cover it up. And I'm here to tell you that we've already dug up one of those, except it was an old watering trough and a piece of tin on the top. So, and then there's the question of the handicapped restroom, if he goes commercial, because it'll be a commercial business. Scott Coleman was required to put a handicapped restroom in his personal truck shop. Section 8, 10, 13, number 7 on page 147 is the adequate water. No use may be permitted unless it is shown that there is an adequate supply of water for the use and fire flow. Has the well been tested for pressure? The first things turned off in a fire situation is the power and natural gas, unless the fire takes it out first. So, the well won't work if there's no power and then there's no water for the fire. The nearest fire hydrant that I'm aware of is on Mill Road, north of my right-of-way, about 2800 south. And I also understand as of March 1st, 2017, all residential and commercial buildings are required to have a sprinkling system installed. Page 205, section 82119 says transitional development standards for non-residential uses bordering residential zones. It requires landscaping, trees, setback measurement requirements, 6 foot solid wall or fence, no glare lighting, no open storage of merchandise or equipment, noise restrictions, no overhead or bay doors that face a residential area, etc., etc., etc. It goes on and on, so someone should read these. And I want to know if these requirements should have to be finished before he opens his business, if it goes commercial. No one at the Planning Commission meeting on April 19th that spoke up was for this zone change except for Mark. And I realize this is a big decision for the town council. You will be impacting the lives of not only the 7 property owners that are involved here, but the Country Estates Trailer Park, all those who travel up and down Highway 40, Heber Meadows, and all of the town of Daniel. So I have a solution. If Mark's had these neighbors sign this petition, it means that they no longer want to complain about his trucks, and he can stay in his own backyard with his shop and his house and with their blessings, and not move into ours and leave us with his mess. Armstrong Drilling and Adam Knight Plumbing are right across the street, and he can rezone his property on 3000 South to a big commercial area with his neighbors. And then the trucks can turn off Highway 189 at the turn lane down by the solid waste station, come up 3000 South and right to his truck repair shop in his own neighborhood. And then his neighbors can live with the dust and the noise, and maybe that way it'll stay under control. Then there's the question of the Shirley Huntsman property, who with her own mouth has stated she has a $10,000 retaining fee and 6-month agreement with Armstrong Drilling. Once the shop lot is rezoned commercial, they plan to rezone it, or try and rezone it, and put it into a commercial park, to park semi-trucks there and bring them down Mill Road through our neighborhood, school bus zone, and backyards. So this can of worms seems to be getting bigger and bigger, which takes me back again and again and again to the reason that we made our town. The reason we made the town of Daniel, according to Gary Walton, was made because we wanted to keep big developers from putting subdivisions in every hayfield, houses on every quarter acre available, keeping commercial property out of our neighborhoods, and to keep Heber City from annexing the property on the Daniel side of Highway 40 and changing it into a commercial zone, which is exactly where this property is located. Then there's the quote from Mayor Duggan in the Wasatch Wave, March 28, 2012, that said, "The primary reason for going to the trouble of incorporating and running our town 2006 was to maintain a rural atmosphere. Most of us chose to live in the county on purpose," unquote. I'm going to remind you every time I have to come here and stand here why our town was made. I'm pretty sure the majority of the Daniel residents still feel the same. You guys are making a big decision to impact a lot of lives here, just not Mark McAllister's livelihood. But all of ours, and our friends, and our neighbors, and the people that we don't even know that travel Highway 40. And that is a mess out there when trucks come and go. There's been more accidents and more near misses than I can even tell you. So please do the right thing and deny this rezoning from RA5 to commercial.
My name's Debbie Walsh, and I am a resident of Country Estates Mobile Home Park. I went to all my neighbors and we got a petition signed. We'd like to give it to you guys.
Okay.
And where we live right across the street from where they want to put the truck stop would not be a good deal. We've lived out there for 25 years. We've had 3 or 4 different accidents. We've had 2 trucks come that far from going right into my front yard, because I'm the first mobile home as you come in there. And the more trucks you put in there, the worse it's going to get. And on a holiday, when you come, if you try to turn into the trailer park, you're sitting out in the main highway 15-20 minutes before you can get a break. So if you start bringing trucks in there, you're going to have a lot more accidents, and I just don't think it'll work. And if they want to put up fences and stuff, that's fine, but there's 3 or 4 people in our mobile home alone that has
I'm not sure what
asthma,
you said.
and all that smoke and dust gets in our lungs, and it makes it worse for us. A local trip to the emergency room for an asthma treatment's $3,000. I know I have asthma. So if they want to put up fences and stuff where the grease and the oil and the dust and stuff doesn't come, fine, but they need to put turning lanes in there also. Because the residents of Country Estates, we just don't want that kind of business up where we live.
Stephanie's correct. We did ask for a few signatures of people who were not opposed and who supported our property going to commercial. And the reason we did that, and by the way, no one was told we couldn't have trucks there, so I don't know where we got that. But the reason we did that was because at the last meeting, we just came to hear concerns. We didn't think to bring anyone who was positive about it because we figured no news is good news. I was a little bit stunned by how many concerns there were, but I would like to address those concerns tonight.
Are these all the same, or?
They're all the same.
Okay. Nobody just handing that to the commission?
And I know it wasn't purposeful, but I also heard you use the term today. And I know people told us, well, they're wanting a petition signed because you're putting a truck stop in. It is not a truck stop. So I think some people may have been confused by that wording as well. I did want to address what happened mostly at the last.
One more copy.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Because the most vocalized concern, and I heard it again tonight, Stephanie, and was about the trucks being in residential areas, specifically Mill Road. And I understand those concerns, children concerns, pet safety. This is not an issue. We do not have access to Mill Road. We do not plan on having access to Mill Road. Not sure where the rumor mill gets started on that, but our access is Highway 40. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if we did want to go on Mill Road, I believe we'd have to have permission.
Yeah.
So that would have to go through the council, and we have no plans of doing that anyway. So I feel like the lion's share of the concerns were really not valid concerns, because we're not doing that. Okay, dust and noise. I'm going to start by pointing out that almost all complaints in that area were against the previous owner, and I understand that he had a really bad, well, it was just a bad deal, right?
It was more than a bad deal.
Huh?
It was more than a bad deal.
Okay? And we have really not wanted that to be continued. We've taken steps, we're trying to be the best neighbors possible. We've been considerate neighbors. I mean, you mentioned our neighbors that we have now, and I think they could attest that we are very considerate business owners and property. I heard one person get up and talk about, afraid it will turn into a junk lot, whatever. They can attest that we don't do that, okay? And, you know, you don't have to take my word for it, but you think past behavior usually indicates future behavior. So, we have hauled in 10 loads of roto-mill asphalt, spread that out. We hauled in 6 trucks and pumped loads of gravel, trying to keep the dust down, trying to be good neighbors. We've done this all on our own. No one asked us to do it. No one told us to do it. We just wanted to make those improvements. We wanted to be, you know, as little of a concern to the neighbors as possible. We do want to be proud of our place. We care what it looks like. So we've been working on a lot of the upgrades there as well. And the third concern I heard about, that I wanted to address, was the resale of the property. So I got the feeling that we were kind of being painted as investors. I think the board knows that's not true. We've been here for months trying to find this place where we could just operate our business that we've been in for 25 years. We found a place that has a continued use. We're excited about that part. We've got our son here at every meeting. I mean, I know we're close to retirement, so that might be a concern. You know, you can sell it, you go put your feet up. That young man is why we bought it. We want to keep the business operating. We want to keep our legacy alive. Hopefully one day his son will continue in that. We're proud of the place. We want to make it as good as possible. All the upgrades that Stephanie listed would definitely have to be done if we sold it. What we were told, and I would like to, before you make a recommendation or decision, I would like to know about the things she talked about, because we're getting different information. And we were told as long as the use didn't change, the zoning didn't matter. So our use would be the same. However, if we sold it, there was a bar or a restaurant, all of that would be out the window, is what we were told. So maybe we do need more education on that. The other thing I want to talk about was the Highway 40 corridor. I mean, the board, both boards have been talking a lot about, okay, we have commercial needs, where do they go? And if you look at the plan, where the enterprise zone is, all of those things, it makes sense to go on the highways. So, I mean, that's why we thought we should be there. The trucking company belongs more out on the highway area. I hope to be great neighbors. I hate to start with, no pun intended, but being on opposite sides of the fence on a deal. I know it can strain things, hold no ill will, I just hope that we can maybe come to a middle ground, maybe understand where each other's coming from. I know you are worried, and from your past experiences, I think you have a right to be.
I've got a fence that's obliterated by the burn, that was made,
But that, again, was the
was
previous
the previous owner.
owner, and I hope that you've noticed our efforts.
I gave you credit for your efforts in the first planning meeting, but
We've really been trying, and I'm hoping in years in the future, whether we get it, whether we don't, that we'll both decide that, it was a good deal to be neighbors, so that's all I have to address.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Of these signatures that you're presenting, how many are Daniel's residents?
All of them.
All.
Thank you.
And we tried to do, all over, we didn't go house to house all over, we just kind of.
So you didn't just go at random and get somebody who would be in favor, who doesn't live in Daniel?
No,
these are all Daniel
no, they're all
residents.
Daniel residents.
Thank you.
Any other?
I would just like to make a general comment to the council members and the commissioners. And I hope this doesn't take us off the subject, but as you can see here, a lot of these signatures are business owners. And some of them in the trucking business, some of them in construction. A little bit about home occupation. I just had that comment.
Well, and that is a concern, and that's,
Well, it's on another subject, so it's a good time for me to bring that up.
my concern is once we do this, then we have the trickle effect. That can of worms gets open and bigger and bigger and bigger, because you're gonna have the same problem all the way through the town. They've got a truck parked there. Oh yeah, we'll go in and we'll get our property commercial, and then we'll be legal, and they can't kick us off because we're parking our truck there, or we're parking our equipment there. That's our big concern right now with the neighborhood, is that commercial goal.
and we can park trucks there now, that's never been an issue.
I would like to ask a question. How many trucks are you guys planning on having parked there? And what are you gonna do to keep the noise down? Because every morning at 4:30, I can tell you when they go in there and they start the trucks at 4:30 every morning, except Saturday and Sundays.
4 trucks.
But you've
Is
also
what
got
we own
those
right now.
tankers there.
We do have three takers right now that stayed from the previous owner. So they are there, and one reason they're there is we need the income to pay for the place. And that's why we want to go commercial. My husband would like to have a different income source, which would be better hours.
One more question. This may end up being very sensitive. I apologize if it is. I have not heard any declaration as to what you plan to do with the facility that you're operating now down at your home. Is that something that you plan to continue to use commercially? Is it something that?
No.
So it's just, the operation would be moved and nothing would replace it down at your home then, is that correct?
Correct.
So in a
He
residential,
may drive his one truck home.
would that be permissible for them to?
Instead of walking, is that what?
Yeah. Exactly. Or a
Also walking
bicycle.
that 2 miles, 3 miles?
So as far as being in a residential area, we're talking about 2 separate residential areas, but one actually is up on the highway where the other is, 3,000 is pretty
Correct.
well traveled, but it's not actually the highway.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you still didn't answer my question. How many trucks are you planning on letting in there at one time?
Well, right now 6.
So they were going.
Well, I guess it'd be 7 with the 3, sorry. You go back to grade school.
I'm confused, and I've been to a lot of these meetings. I thought this was a continuing use.
It is.
Wasn't this
It's
here
in
before?
a continued use right now, but they want to take it from continued use, residential agricultural, to a commercial area. They want it rezoned
So
commercial.
is it okay as a continued use?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's
right
what
now it is.
I thought they
The
were
way
building,
they-
I was under the impression that you thought they were building a truck stop.
No,
That's
the
what
truck, the shop is still there, and for him to
Yeah,
use it as
I went over and
personal
helped them
use.
after the last meeting. I went over and helped, I did the wiring.
Yeah,
So I
for
went
them
in
to
and did
use it
some
as
work for
it
them.
is now, I don't think the neighbors have a problem with that. It's the commercial that we have a problem with, because once it's commercial, you get the trickle effect, and you get that big can of worms open and all through Daniels. Plus, there's still never been a commitment of, I mean, you pull a truck in there, you've got an oil leak, you don't have room in your base to fix that oil leak right now. It sits out in the back of the lot, and that oil leaks on the ground, and it makes a big mess until you guys get it into the shop. Been around trucks long enough to know at least that part. And what happens to the oil? It's on the ground. How many trucks are gonna sit out there leaking oil on the ground at a certain different time?
Are
How
you
many
talking
trucks do you
about,
expect to leak in oil?
The crew trucks? that are-
No, the trucks that they're
Just-
gonna
just-
repair, because this is a
you're talking
repair.
about general.
They want to do a truck repair shop.
That's the continued.
But the good property owner would go and clean up the contaminated soil and take care of it, you know? I mean,
It shouldn't be leaking there in the first place.
you put a bucket under it,
Whether
you
it's
can
someone
control
else's
it.
truck or repairing or ours, you can get an oil leak. It's not gonna make a difference.
So my question was, that would be the continued use. In other words, they're not changing anything. that I
They are if
understand.
it goes from residential agricultural to commercial, it changes the whole ball of wax.
Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, if it's necessary to meet some of the codes that we talked about earlier. In fact, this should really be directed for Mr. Taylor, or at least have his attention.
I'm listening.
If fire flows are needed out there, if some of the things talked about earlier, are you folks willing to suffer
Well,
those
that's why I
costs?
said we're getting different sources of information, so I would like to have a definite decision on all of that, because it could
Some of
make
that
a
isn't-
difference.
Some of that isn't up to the town.
Some of that's up to the fire department.
As what we've been told so
And you
far
don't.
is as long as the use didn't change. So if we
Zoning
were to sell it
changes.
to a
The
bar,
zoning
that's a
changes, it
total
doesn't matter.
change, right?
If the
I
zoning
can speak to
changes-
that if you'd like me to. Or we can get
I'm
Ryan
glad
up
to
here.
sit if you're ready to
Go ahead, Eric.
A continued use remains a continued use. If the town decides to go down to your house and change your property to zoning to something else, that doesn't, you're not required to upgrade your property to meet that zoning. The continued use continues. If you change that use, you are now required to meet the current requirements. So anything that's going on in that property right now will continue, no matter what zone it is. It's a continued use, it's been established, we've been through the meetings with the lawyers, it's been an established use. Nothing will change until the use changes. And that's the way all of your properties are. We have 3-acre parcels in Daniel, it's RA5. We didn't come around and kick everybody out, because now you don't have 5 acres. It's a continued use, so that might help you understand how continued use, and then once you change that use, that's when all this comes into play. So if you, and some of you that have been around for a while, we had Heber City come out and they had they have a land use map. And all of a sudden, and I hate to use her, but Julie Wagstaff, her property was all brown. And she comes to me and she said, I don't want to be brown. But they were putting her in this zone, but it absolutely changes nothing they're doing because her use hasn't changed. It's just the land use for future land is being zoned. Heber City goes out in front and does that. Danieltown hasn't done that. We haven't went out and said, this will be this and you will be that. And eventually that's the goal you go to. We've been application driven. So I hope that helps on the use. Kind of clear some of that up.
That does.
Okay.
I have a question, Bill.
For me?
Yeah.
Dang it.
So what do you know, can you speak to the question about UDOT wanting to tinker with their access?
Absolutely I can. And I'm not gonna use that access, I'm gonna use the one up the canyon that I just went to the big meeting on. So
Okay, good.
you guys might be aware, the little gravel pit up the canyon has now applied for a major mining expansion. So I met with UDOT and I'm like, what are you guys gonna do? Not a thing. There's nothing that calls UDOT into this. They're not touching that thing. I said, you have true tankers coming down that canyon, loaded to the brim, and you're gonna major 80 new acres opened up in there.
Talking about a gun club?
No, the one up the canyon here.
The gravel pit on
The
the
gravel
left.
pit.
So we're talking
Daniel's
80 new
Canyon.
acres.
Canyon?
of mined gravel coming out of there.
Oh,
They're not touching that access, so I highly doubt they're gonna look at this one.
Wait a minute, you
Okay,
say
I-
they're not touching the access. You mean it stays as the existing?
What is there, nothing brings UDOT in.
Okay, and then before you leave the podium.
Oh, you got another one? I had the answer to that one.
Acting like me.
This use is being changed. It's going from a truck stop or a parking truck stop to a mechanic shop and a truck shop. So given that scenario, they would need the new set of codes and some more money and some more expenses.
It's going to a commercial business.
Well, we don't know that. We're here looking at a zone change. All these items everybody's brought up are great items, but what we're here tonight looking at is this area want to be a zone change? All of the items that have been brought up so far, they don't come into play until there's a business that's applied for a business license there. Then those conditions we look at. But right tonight, what we're doing is looking at this area. Is this the right fit for a zone, for a commercial zone? That's what we're doing here.
So my name is Misty Giles. I'm a little bit confused on the continued use because right now they're allowed 7 trucks in there. So you're taking it, if they were to get the business license and making it a truck repair shop, wouldn't that be changing the use?
If he goes with a commercial shop, that would be changing the use. The shop has been used under the continued use.
For a truck repair shop,
Right, that's correct.
For personal.
on personal trucks?
On his truck, that's what he said.
So if
He,
he's-
he in the future would like to expand that. That was what he is.
And make it other trucks.
Right.
Personal people can call you up and just say, I need a truck fixed.
Which
So wouldn't that be changing the use right
And
there?
that would
then?
change the use
Okay,
if
all right.
he does that. Yeah.
That's where I was-
Unless that's been established, and so far, that wasn't established in the continued use.
And that's if they go get a business license. If,
They have a business license right now.
so if it just goes commercial,
If it goes commercial, nothing changes until they apply for a change on the property. So it would be an expansion of the use they have, is what we're
So
looking
can he repair other people's trucks in that shop with the business license that he
I
has?
I don't know, because that part wasn't brought up in the continued use. Again, they have to prove that that's a continued use. It'd be the
Okay, so,
same,
because I talked to Austin Tripp on Monday, and he said as soon as that shop goes to a commercial truck repair shop, that's when that access changes. And it's still agricultural.
yeah, and again, it's under a continued use. And so they're not gonna touch that
Well, he's not gonna touch it till that business starts up.
Till the use changes.
till the use changes. When the use changes, when that application comes before us, it'll be treated just like all the other businesses. Planning Commission says we need a letter from UDOT. They get that all approved through the UDOT. That's one of the conditions on for a
Okay, this
business.
is exactly where he went on to tell me that once the property owner does all this, then he finds out down the road all the rules and regulations that have to be made, then they can't afford to do that. They can't afford to put the turn lane in off the highway, and they can't afford to upgrade their property and do the things that they need to do. And then they dump it, and we get a bar or a gas station.
Again, another continued use, something different. They're gonna be required to do the same
I'm
thing.
gonna be living here.
Yeah.
I know.
Eric,
Yes, sir.
what are the uses they could do if that did go commercial tonight? What
there-
all uses?
Oh, there's
would be-
3 pages.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of uses. It
That's what I
goes
thought
from,
there was.
again, the town has adopted the county code.
where was that on your page? Because I couldn't find it. I thought you said that it was on the page.
Daniel Town,
Yeah?
you found our website.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you scroll down the left side, it says codes and ordinances.
Uh-huh.
Click on that, it'll open up. You'll see current town code, second one down, adopted '06. Click on that, that'll open it up. You can scroll all the way down, that's all of our code.
So back to, I have another question. So when he puts his truck repair shop in there and starts working on other people's trucks, you're not gonna make him have adequate water, and you're not gonna make him do the septic system?
If he changes the use, he'll have to come up to the current standards.
Okay, that's what I wanna know.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, on that gravel pit, just as it is, there's been quite a bit of a dust problem over there, and probably a lot more than ever come from this.
Great question. It's a great question, but tonight we're working on the zoning.
And that's not even, Daniel,
That actually is in the town of Independence.
that's another town?
Yeah, there's
Anything on that other side of the
I
road?
wish some of these folks would have shown up to that hearing, but it was just me.
So I have another question. When are you guys gonna be answering the questions that we've been having? Because you guys been writing notes and trying to get information, just like how the whole state thing has came up with the turn lane and whatnot.
Mhm.
You guys are gonna be finding that information out, right?
That will never come up until they ask for an upgrade on the use.
Okay, but you guys will answer some of the questions that apply for like the commercial, just it going commercial though?
Yeah, what questions do you have for it going commercial?
Well, just like the first night, yeah, the first night, there was a whole bunch of questions like the water, the like the how it's on a well system and that kind of stuff with it going commercial in the area. Like some of the questions were wrote down and you guys said that you would get back to us. Is that gonna be happening tonight or when will we know those answers?
That answer is that continued use, it stays the way it is. They're fine on a well, they're fine on the septic. Until they change that use, this is a continued use. We don't touch that until they upgrade. So it doesn't, again, it won't matter what the zone is, it's the use that determines. If you, and on a certain parcel, here, the people that owned it before brought me their tax sheet, and I might have mentioned this before, and they showed me, look, it's commercial, we're paying commercial taxes, which it clearly shows on their tax sheet that they're commercial. They're not zone commercial. In the county, they tax you on your use. So that was one of the things that came out with the meeting with the attorney. He says, clearly we're commercial, here it is. We've been paying taxes on it for 20 years in a commercial zone. And so we had to get through that, and that's what the county's response was. We tax on the use, not on the zone. So they don't really care what the zone is, they tax on the use. So all of those, the well, all those things, like I said, are all fine and great things to talk about, but it really doesn't pertain to the zone until the upgrade on the use.
Was the previous business, were they working on other people's trucks also, or are they strictly their own?
What they, again, we didn't go over the shop. The shop was continued to be used as it was, and I'll have to review that letter. I believe that was in, I think that was in '07 when we met with the attorneys. And they established what the uses were. And I remember the shop has been continually in use since before zoning, so.
They lied.
Again, I took it at face value. The attorneys were there. I just do what I'm told. People really hate when I get up and say, you're a liar. Yeah, then they show up with pitchforks and tomatoes.
I got a question for you on that. I work for UDOT, and I usually, most of the time I'm on nights. I like to stand out there, I live right across the street from Mr. McAllister there. And I've all them trucks go in and out of there. They all use deck braking. Hear them coming from the time they leave the port entry and either direction. There's only one truck that I've noticed since all this has been going on that's got any decency for anybody. And it's a gentleman drives your dump truck. I think it must be your boy.
There's McCoy works for me.
Oh, well, it's the one that drives your dump truck anyway. He don't stir up much dust. He don't lay on the jake brake. He drives in and out of there like a white man and all that, and I appreciate it. The rest of them guys don't.
I don't care if you call the cops on them, it's illegal there, they know it. You can call the cops on everybody that runs their town.
But I look up to him.
I'll tell you, there's.
I'm glad somebody got raised.
This response to that traffic, I don't know how many residents are in Country Meadows Trailer Court.
It's Country States.
Country States, okay.
There's 75 or 80 of us.
Okay, they maybe own, maybe all of them own 2 vehicles possibly, come and go from there each day. I see more trucks, almost rear-end cars turning into there, they're heading out Daniels Canyon, than they do rear-end and trucks turning into my property.
Well, like I say,
So
I've seen
maybe,
it, you know.
maybe 4 or 5 trucks, maybe as many as 10 trucks come and go from there in one day. So that's not as big a safety issue is
I think it is, because you
live
don't,
across the street,
well,
that's
you
all
don't
I'm
live on
saying.
Highway 4, you haven't seen the accidents. I've lived out there 23 years, and I bet I can tell you 15 accidents. And one night in particular, there was this young lady turning into the trailer park, and it was kind of dark, and she didn't have a lot of lights on, but she had lights on. This semi did not see her, went out and took off the whole driver's side of her car. He was kind enough to stop and come back, but still, that didn't save her car.
That was turned into the trailer
They
door.
were turning into.
Okay, all great conversation, it's really awesome, but we're talking about a zone change.
We're trying to address safety.
Do you know the zoning of the trailer park?
I don't.
Do you folks know the zoning of the trailer park?
So if it goes
It's in the
through
county.
tonight for commercial.
It's in the
Well, see,
county.
we're in Wasatch County, we're not considered Daniel, sir.
Cedar City goes right to.
So
the
your
property.
petition from the people that signed it were from Wasatch County, not from Daniel?
Yeah, but we're the ones that live right across the street.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Okay, so this is actually a comment on actually going commercial.
okay.
So you guys talked about in the meeting how on the highway, like you guys in the plan, it was kind of talked about that the highway was made kind of for commercialization. So let's just say that it does get passed on the highway. What are you guys gonna do, because it is opening a can of worms, what are you guys gonna do when someone wants to, like, how are you gonna handle it, I guess, when someone wants to, or multiple people want to make their property commercial that's actually like in the heart of Daniels? Like, because just opening that up, a lot of people are gonna wanna make their properties commercial, so, I mean, opening that up is gonna, or making it commercial is gonna open that can of worms. I mean, what are you guys gonna
Still have to go
do?
through the process.
Well,
right?
yeah.
So I mean, so it still have to be approved.
Yeah,
So
but
just
in your
because one does
plan,
doesn't mean it's going to.
it's just highway commercial, so.
Right, right, and so there's several things that the planning commission will look at, and like I say, we just started this. So we'll be looking at the general plan, we'll be following our guideline there, our land use plan, and that's what you're referring to on the highway corridors, commercial will be located. And the reason we did that is, and I might be going out on a limb here, I believe the reason that that happened was because of the impact to the town. There's minimal impact to the town. We don't have a main street, we don't have commercial downtown. So what we have is, we're kind of, it's a little wedge here. Our two commercial areas that really don't impact the town as much as it would be if somebody down in the center of town wanted to be commercial is on the highway corridors. They're in, they're out, they're not driving through the residential areas. So that's the reason that that's in that plan. So, and the planning commission will have to look at that. And so what you're describing there is spot zoning. And it does speak to that in the general plan about spot zoning because it's called haphazard development. And so we try and keep those areas the way they are. And so that's why we have that plan, is to follow that. So that was a great question. Awesome. There's an opening on the board, did I mention?
How many signatures are on that petition?
Which one?
The one against, or the one for commercialization?
Well, the thing that I would like to explain is petitions don't come as
Oh, no,
votes.
just mental.
So that the number of names on here is not as important as the idea that these people haven't.
Around 30.
Around 30? Okay. Does anybody else want to come and speak about zone change? Oh, that one.
This is as close as I'll get because I can't get it. I'm Shelley Bunker. I'm at the other end of the town. I didn't want what I got. But you know what?
Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want the county across from me. I didn't want the asphalt company. And we fought and we fought and we fought. And it doesn't matter. We got it anyways. And ever since then, I'll tell you, I've been to every single meeting. Till Eric kicked me out. And then I was on a reprieve.
No, it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay, sorry. Till I finally withdrew for a while.
Okay.
But as we're coming through and I'm watching what you guys have to deal with on this zoning, you've got, we just spent an hour before this meeting, and where are we trying to put our commercial? You're just saying businesses need someplace to go. It's been in the town's thing from day one. You know, we may have said, I keep hearing how Gary Walton said blah, blah. Well, you know, a lot of people said a lot of things to get the town going. And I know for a fact, you know, I know there was a lot of guys that worked on it, and they did a great job. And their whole